All right, welcome back on Hononegah Honors. 9.1 AC2, we're going to learn another area formula. So again, we had the area formula that you learned in geometry of half base times height. The area formula for sine, and so now we have another area formula called Heron's area formula. Now this requires S, and you can look it up if you want to, but S in any particular triangle is the three sides added together divided by 2. Once you know S, then the area of a triangle is the square root of S and then times S minus one side, so A, S times S minus a second side, B, times S minus the third side, C. So giving some numbers to this, we got a situation in which we have a triangle, and this is a bigger triangle. So side A, so let's go A, B, C. Side A is 43, side B is 53, and side C is 72. So that's a very big triangle. But the area formula for the triangle would be, first you have to find S, and I'm going to use a cursive S just because so I don't have to worry about it. S would be the three sides added together and divided by 2. So if I add up all those sides and divide by 2, I get S to be 84. So the area formula for this triangle, okay, so area equals square root of S times S minus one side, S minus the second side, and S minus the third side. So now I've got 84 times 30, let me try this again. 84 times 41 times 31 times 12, and then the square root of that. So the area of this particular triangle is 1,131.89, and this is in miles, or excuse me, meters squared. So again, it was a big triangle, but that is the area formula. That is called Heron's formula. So another area formula. Next, law of cosines. Law of cosines is used anytime you have two sides and the angle in between, or if you have all three sides. So you don't need to memorize all three of those. You technically only need to know one of them. So any side of a triangle squared is equal to the other two sides. So a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc. So 2 times the two sides cosine of the angle of the side that you're looking for. Now, this is a big topic, and we haven't really talked about this, but anytime you are given a choice, if you are using cosines, you should always find the biggest angle. So if you are given a choice, like I don't know which one to choose, always go for the biggest one first. Sine is actually the opposite of that. We'll do an example here in which that's going to actually make a difference. So here we go. You are asked to solve, and again, you have a picture. And I don't know angle A, I don't know angle C, and I don't know side B. So those are the three things that I need to try to find. I cannot use the law of sines. The reason I cannot use the law of sines is I don't have a ratio, meaning angle A, I don't know, and side A, I do. Angle B, I do know, but side B, I don't. And angle C, I don't know, but side C, I don't. So there is no ratio. I cannot use the law of sines, but I can use the law of cosines. Any side squared is equal to the other two sides squared added together minus 2 times the other two sides cosine of the angle of the side that I'm looking for. So now there's a giant situation in which I can do all of that in my calculator. I can do 5 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 5 times 7 times cosine of 36. I believe I get 17.3688, just rounding to a few decimal places. B would then equal 4.17. So side B is 4.17. I now have a ratio. I now can use the law of sines. Sine of 36 over 4.17 would equal the sine of, now, always go for the smaller of the two sides. So if I have a choice between finding C and finding A in this particular picture, I want to find C. Again, stressing this, if using the law of sines and given a choice, like which one do I choose? Always go for the smaller one when doing sine and go for the larger one when doing cosine. 5 cross multiply. 5 times the sine of 36 would equal 4.17 times the sine of C. Get this out of the way here a little bit. Divide by 4.17. So now using my calculator, I get 0.7047 equals the sine of C. Inverse sine, C would equal 44.8 degrees. Now, angle A is now going to end up being, because again, all the angles we need to add up to 180, 99.2 degrees. If you were to do A first, you would get a wrong answer. And I believe it would be a wrong answer, and I'm doing this in my head, so don't quote me on this, of 80.8. So again, always go for the smaller angle or the smaller side when doing the law of sines. Always do the larger side when doing the law of cosine. So here we go. What happens if I am given 3 angles, or excuse me, 3 sides? Well, I can't do the law of sines because I don't have any ratios. I don't have the angle and its side opposites. So I don't know angle A, I don't know angle B, I don't know angle C. So using the law of cosines, remember, I'm going to go for the bigger one. 16 squared, that's the biggest angle measure, would be 9 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 9 times 10 times the cosine of A. This is going to require a little bit of work. You're going to have to think here a little bit. This is probably one of the most missed situations. So 16 squared, I'm going to subtract 9 squared, I'm going to subtract 10 squared and get 75 equals. Notice that I did not, here I'm going to go back and show my work a little bit. 16 squared, 9 squared, 10 squared, minus 180 cosine A. I have a little trouble writing there. Cosine A. Do not add those together. Merely subtract 81 and subtract 100. So I get 75. Then divide by negative 180. And that would get me negative 0.4166. Second cosine A would equal 114.6 degrees. So if angle A is 114.6 degrees, I now can use the law of sines. Sine of 114.6 over 16 equals, remember, doing the law of sines, always go for the smaller one. So sine of B over 9. Cross multiply, solve. Okay, and I'm not going to show my work too much here. Solve, hopefully you know how to do this by now, 30.8 degrees, which then means the last angle, because 114.6, 30.8, third angle must add up to 180, so I'm going to subtract that from 180. I'm going to get 34.6 degrees. Can't stress this enough. Law of cosines, go for the biggest. Law of sines, always go for the smallest. Lifeline. And I got a little bit bigger picture here, so I'm going to have to move this out of the way just a little bit so I have enough room to actually make a picture here. A helicopter starts at point C. So here we go. We have a helicopter. Let's see if I can draw myself a helicopter. Helicopter starts at point C, flies 55 miles to point B, then takes a 42-degree angle, flies to the hospital at point A, 35 miles from the crash site. How far is it from the hospital back to its base. So x squared, if you want to use b, that's fine. X squared would equal 55 squared plus 35 squared minus 2 times 35 times 55 times the cosine of 42. Type all of that into your calculator. Then do the square root of that. And I believe the answer is 37.3 miles. That will conclude all of 9.1. So 9.1, we did right triangle trig and right triangle ratios. We then did the law of sines and the law of cosines. So you must make sure that you are prepared for 9.1 assessment. I don't know what Ms. Kensel or I will do as far as the assessment is concerned, but again, understanding the law of sines, the law of cosines, the area formulas, SOHCAHTOA, all the other trig functions. So again, worksheet today. If you have any questions, make sure you're contacting Ms. Kensel or myself. Again, be safe.